it is time for us to address the elephant in the room. This tweet by LOL Shinya about how the Wuthering Waves community has a serious problem. I am one creator in particular that has been explicitly named as potentially somebody that is causing some problems. And so let's just go ahead and dig right on into this, see what the breakdown is, and whether or not I believe that some of these critiques are valid, or whether or not there are some further clarifications that need to be provided. So with that, let's just go ahead and read it off. The Wuthering Waves community has a serious problem. Toxic positivity has always been an issue within the community, and with the recent outspoken nature of content creators, namely Saint and the people defending him, combined with the Game Awards fiasco, the community has been in an absolute uproar with Balatro winning Mobile Game of the Year. It's worse than it's ever been. I have a couple of grievances with a response like this. I don't think toxic positivity is really that much of a concern at all in the Wuthering Waves community. I think toxic positivity, by definition of the term, is when you vehemently defend bad things that are happening in the game and you continually push against positive changes for the game. That is how I view toxic positivity, where you view every single decision made by the developers in such a positive light that you cannot ever at any point suggest that good changes should be implemented, because the devs can quite literally do no wrong. And so my point of view is the devs quite literally have been told many of the things that they've been doing wrong. They actively make the changes, and the community is the one that sends that feedback in. And so I'm a little confused as to where this idea of toxic positivity is coming from. It might be because of the idea that I am sort of downplaying or invalidating the critiques made by several large creators in the space. If I'm going to be called out by name here, I might as well just list them. Like, I have downplayed the critiques, right, being made by content creators like Vars on his video about Wuwa's team building, as well as Gotcha Smack for his videos about Wuwa's cutscenes, Wuwa's buggering waves, and also Wuwa's Tower of Adversity. I think that me pointing out that a lot of these critiques are being made with imperfect knowledge about the game and are essentially spreading misinformation about the game, I don't think that's toxic positivity. I think that's me validating whether or not a critique is actually based in reality, and then from there breaking down whether or not it's something that should actually be listened to, or if it's something that really should have been cooked a little bit longer. I don't think that's toxic positivity. At least that's not from my point of view. I don't think it is. That's calling out false information. If anything, that prevents toxic positivity, because now that would lead to changes being made to the game that perhaps potentially don't need to be made to the game, and could, for all intents and purposes, make the game worse. And I have reasons for why they could make the game worse, or why they're not as valid. I bring a factual thing to every single one of those conversations. And so I'm not going by like feeling, I'm going by like fact. Calling out false information, I don't think that's toxic positivity. I might not be saying it the nicest way, but I have made commitments publicly, and have actually put my money where my mouth is for those commitments, to prove that, yeah, I'm going to tone down my wording, tone down some of the aggressiveness in that response, but I'm not going to change the essence of that response. I'm still going to shut it down if I think it's a little bit stinky. And believe me, there have been a lot of big CCs making some really stinky criticisms. And because of the platform and the audience that they have, me addressing them is not a problem. They might get offended with the take, but hey, just don't make a shit take in the first place. Next up, we have the Game Awards fiasco. Where is this happening? Where is this happening? Where is this absolute uproar? I actually haven't seen a single Wuwa player freaking out about this. I haven't seen a single like Twitch channel or like YouTube comment section. I made like a joke where I just called it Balatro ruined Gotcha Gaming, and then I said poker with a twist in all caps. I thought that was pretty funny. I thought that was like a funny thing. I had people taking it seriously, but you know, those people are probably like, you know, their mind might not work in the same way that mine does. But I mean, your game didn't win the award that it was nominated for. I assume like some small level of like a negative response to that is kind of normal, but I don't think it's been in an absolute uproar and that it's in the worst state it's ever been. This seems to me like a giga hyperbole. I think this is manufactured or made up, and it might be made up because of Shinya's misunderstanding of the situation, and CC's just making like jokes about it, but I haven't seen anybody like actively going crazy. The Balatro review went from like 5 to 4.8. Oh boy. Oh boy. Have I made a video about how Balatro's a dog shit game? Has anybody made a video about how Balatro's a dog shit game? I don't even think so. I've already talked about how the Wuwa Reddit community has basically been astroturfed by Hoyoverse players. I'm like 75% sure. I'm obviously not going to put that much money on it. I'm pretty sure there's a shit ton of people that are just like fucking going crazy on that subreddit. And I'm pretty sure there are a shit ton of Hoyo players that are going crazy on the Wuwa subreddit or on the Wuwa Discord. Just making shit up. Posing as like freaks, like really committed Wuwa players. And then that's it. Please refrain from sharing derogatory comments or opinions about other games. Yang Yang preemptively telling people not to shit talk other games on their public Discord is like the community being in an outrage. This is just like what any company would do. They don't want their official public forum being a place where people shit talk other games. I don't know any game that wouldn't do this. This is pretty normal, right? Is this dude in denial? Fam, you had the fucking dev make a 5-paragraph long essay about this is a 5-paragraph essay, not this. Why don't you link the one you're talking about then? Open Twitter and find it yourself. How about you take a 5-minute break, you find it, and then maybe you can come back with it. You have 5 minutes to find it now. Hey, if you don't come back in 5 minutes, Dextra, you are permanently banned. Good luck, buddy. This is what we're freaking out about, guys. We understand your confusion, frustration, and sadness in regards to the results of the Game Awards. However, these sentiments do not justify bashing, degrading, or striking down other blah, 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 blah. This is just an announcement. Please don't be toxic. 5 paragraphs? Yo, if you call this 5... Okay, Dextra, you're unbanned. You're unbanned now, Dextra. The fact that you call this 5 paragraphs means that you are permanently banned. What? Who would call this 5 paragraphs? I don't need somebody that stupid typing in my chat, guys. I swear, they're just lowering the quality of your stream. This is 5 sentences. Like, a sentence is not a fucking paragraph. Holy moly. I've never seen somebody that, like, it's so easy to just not be that dumb. I believe that we have firmly established that the whole Balatro Game of the Year thing, it's like not that bad. I would say it's bad if people saw that and then proceeded to continue shit talking the game, but I'm pretty sure most players have just been like, all right, whatever. ZZZ didn't win, so I don't really care that much either. I genuinely think that's what happened, and I haven't seen anybody freaking out about it. Nobody's been going schizo in chat. Nobody's been freaking out on YouTube. I've just responded to creator videos saying poker with a twist. It gets a couple of updates, but it's just a funny thing to say about the game. I make jokes on YouTube comments and then it gets upvoted, and I guess Shinya saw it and then thought the space was burning down, but I even had a stream titled The Game Awards Ruined Gacha Gaming. I didn't even talk about the game during that stream. I just said maybe we'll play it later. Then I got stun locked by something else. Then I had some people saying I was one of the most toxic creators ever when I didn't even talk about the game. People just saw the stream title and were like, oh my god, how dare he? Oh, he is talking so much shit. I can't believe he's doing this. It's just like I wasn't actually doing anything. Maybe I should change the stream title before somebody schizos out, but my god. Anyways, I mean, that's, in my opinion, every point here debunked. Like, I literally, maybe I'm just not looking in the right places, but I don't see anything here. I literally don't see anything here, guys. I don't see anything about this. Maybe Shinya's like in way more toxic spaces than I am, but I've been streaming every single day, you know, except Sundays for like the past 3 weeks. And I haven't really seen anything about Balatro or like shit talking the game or like doing any of that. I really haven't seen anything. Maybe I'm just not looking in the right places. Maybe I need to like go to more toxic communities. But if that's the situation for him, I'd love to see, well, I'd love to see this. Proof? Proof? Can I get some proof? Can I see proof of this absolute uproar? That's the funny thing. That's the funny thing. So, is this the community being in a fucking uproar? The Game Awards suck ass. Poker with a twist. Is this the absolute uproar that Shinja's talking about? Saying the Game Awards suck ass? And poker with a twist? Is this, am I breeding a toxic community with the, not even 2 sentences, like nouns? I mean, sometimes, man, what I'm gonna say is, some people, they see what they want to see. And if you want to view this from the lens that I'm one of the most toxic creators in the space, that's what it's going to look like when you look at it. This is just a joke. It's pretty clear that it's just a joke. I mean, I'd love to see like what he's talking about here. I'd love to see some proof, but I'm not seeing anything. So I'm just going to disregard this entire point that he just made. I don't think it's there. We got the next point. Wuthering Waves / Kuro community is slowly transforming into the thing they dislike the most. The Genshin Hoyo community. Proof? Proof? Where is it? The Genshin Hoyo community, they vehemently argue against skip buttons. They say, oh my gosh, the skip button would be the worst possible thing to add to the game. The Wuwa community quite literally suggests changes every single patch. There's a new quality of life that comes every single update. They actively make changes to the game and they support the devs for doing that. And so, it's quite literally the opposite of the Genshin Hoyo community. They accept and push for changes every single patch. The only thing is, they will shut down changes that aren't good, that are based off of misinformation or lack of understanding. Because what they don't want is the devs integrating changes or updates to the game that are not really well-founded, because they know how willing the devs are to implement changes. So why would they want changes that aren't good for the game, or at least aren't founded in reality, being shuttled and funneled and pushed forward to the devs? They're allowed to have a public opinion that what you're suggesting is not good. So yeah, show me some proof. Next up, the rivalry will always exist between the two games. This is not something that can ever be fixed due to the nature of tribalism and the game sharing an overall look and feel. Yeah, I mean, I don't need proof for this one. This is just a fact of the matter. It's like two baseball teams fighting against each other, or, you know, competing against each other. Yeah, they're going to be competitive because you have one team over the other. The major issue is how passionate the fans are. Guys, it's a problem if you like the game too much. They need to make the game worse so that we stop liking it so much. That's what this sounds like. And I think you could have expanded on this point over here. This makes it seem like, gosh, you guys like the game too much. How dare you? How dare you? What does this take? Wait, what does this take? Like, what are we trying to say here? If passion is bad? Okay. Personally, I feel content creators have a significant responsibility in the space for setting the tone and direction in the community. And the tone and direction that I'm setting is, feel free to have critiques as long as they are based in reality and a firm understanding of the game's mechanics. Please don't make any critiques, or please think them out more if you're going to make them. Because one thing that we don't want is big content creators pushing forward misinformation as the basis for their changes. How can you suggest changes when you don't understand the game at a baseline? I think that's a very positive thing and a positive spin for the community to have. I think you should take the example from Shinya and not release any videos nor make any streams. Jesus. While we cannot push the blame on them completely, CCs, in any way, give the flag for what is considered okay or not okay. I think I've given a lot of direction towards the community members. I took the chance to hear EO out. I told EO, hey dude, I think you're not wording a lot of your points very correctly. You have actually good points to make. They show that you're actually making an attempt to understand the game and its mechanics. It's just your wording and how you're portraying these critiques is dog shit. And if you improve on that, the community is going to be a lot more accepting towards you. When we hear people say that something with the game is wrong, we want to know why, and we also want to hear why what you're suggesting is going to make it better. Not just hear that it's wrong and then nothing else. And so I'm quite literally doing this, and I am pushing forward behavior that in my opinion is good. I'm pushing forward behavior that in my opinion will only make the community better, because now we can make critiques with good context and like full understanding and express that we actually know what we're talking about so we can get taken more seriously. Is it wrong to encourage that behavior? Is it better for me to encourage something like Gotcha Smack, where you just say, here's what's wrong with the Tower of Adversity. Here's my suggestion. By the way, that suggestion actually sucks. I don't actually have one. Good luck. What do I do with that? What is anybody supposed to do with that video? Is it wrong for me to say that was a pretty shit critique? Should I support that? Or should we instead support things like Ryuku, where he highlights what is wrong, where the problems are, and how it could be fixed in a concise manner? I think we support that kind of critique instead. And then we also support the expanded explanation that EO had. I think that's a better way of going about it. And sure, you're allowed to give a critique without a solution. No one's gonna take it fucking seriously. Because now it just looks like you're just trying to throw shit on the wall and say stuff is bad without giving a reason. And not a lot of people like that. Gentle reminder to the diehard fans that refuse to accept any criticism or even the idea that their game can have problems. We quite literally, in this chat, on my YouTube, in so many different ways, we put forward criticism. We just do the homework while explaining it. We put the work in to actually highlight why stuff is wrong and how it can be better. And implying that that's not happening, I think it just shows that you really are not keeping up with the woo-wah scene at all. You're making these very general, blanket level statements that quite literally don't apply in pretty much every single context where critique has actually been given in a good manner. We just had the chat with EO. We just had the chat with Ryuku, and those were critiques that were well-founded, that had a basis in reality, that showed a baseline level of understanding in the game so you can actually know what the problems are. and they also came with solutions. This is not what is happening, but you're saying it is. It makes it seem like you're just not paying attention at all to what is going on and just trying to find critiques to make about the scene as a whole. And believe me, it is not a good look. I don't think it's a very good look at all, especially when you're not regularly making content on the game and there's no evidence you've been keeping up with anything going on with the scene. If your first video back is going to be a drama video addressing this, I don't think it's going to be a good look. I'm just going to be honest. You have had plenty of opportunities to make content on the game, to talk about a variety of different mechanics, to actually highlight your own critiques or something like that. And if your first video back is going to be talking about drama that quite literally and like a toxic positivity dynamic that doesn't exist, Shinya, I don't think it's going to be a good look. But it's your channel, it's your content, you can do whatever you feel like doing. Criticism and discussion about your favorite game isn't a bad thing, and we have clearly highlighted that. We have highlighted so many different ways that we've responded positively to criticism. We only ask that the criticism be based in reality and have a good understanding of the game while you're making them, so that you can be taken more seriously and we can actually validate what you're saying. Feedback and action is what gets company to change their games. Again, we are wording this like Kuro doesn't take feedback, like Kuro doesn't take updates. And the thing is, when Kuro Games has quite literally implemented a quality of life every single patch that has undoubtedly made the game better and made it smoother to play and reduced points of friction that make the game worse or less enjoyable. And they have every single patch made an update. Why are we saying this? Like they're not doing it. Why are we saying like gentle reminder when this is the one company that's doing the exact opposite? I don't understand why we're wording it like this, like they're not making the updates or they're not making the changes. I genuinely don't understand why this is being said about Wuthering Waves. Even if it's feedback you don't necessarily agree with, we should be all attempting to remain civil and respectful. That much I can agree with. I had a bit of an emotional response, but when I'm seeing big creators, ones that should be held to a higher standard, or creators sponsored by Kuro Games themselves, and they're operating without even doing the bare minimum, I'm gonna be honest, I think you should at least 30 out of 30 the tower before talking about why the TOA is not good. I genuinely think that. I think you should at least 30 out of 30 the tower a single time before talking about why the TOA isn't good. Maybe that's elitist of me. Maybe it is. But I think that should maybe be at least like the baseline before you can start making big sweeping critiques about the game mode, and would probably lead to a better discussion because you can actually validate that you know how to play the game. And with VARs, maybe we don't use B-roll that shows that we have no idea how to play the game when we're critiquing team building and talking about the dynamics and what's lacking. Maybe we show we can play the team in the footage. The constant shit-slinging continues to make Kuro fans look bad and perpetuates the negative opinion of gacha gamers in general. You wanna know what makes the game look bad, Shinya? This is what makes the game look bad. When you have big content creators making gigantic critiques about the game that have no basis in reality, and they create a negative public perception with their critiques about things that actually don't exist in the game. Making mountains out of molehills, giving extra airtime to issues that quite literally don't exist. That's what makes the game look worse. And individuals deciding to speak out against that, to take those critiques and break them down and expose why they're not actually rooted in reality. That's making the game better. That's making the game have a better perception, because we're taking illegitimate critiques and filtering them. And me doing that is not toxic positivity. I don't want to see the community turn into a hug box either. Well, it won't as long as I'm here. I'll hold people accountable if they're not going to put any effort into their content. Constructive conflict fosters creativity. I think that our chat, my chat with EO today, was quite literally one of the most creative discussions that have ever been had in the history of Wuthering Waves content creation. I'm not even joking. I genuinely think it was. It can be a powerful tool in being the catalyst for positive growth on both sides of a discussion. This is maybe one of the few things that I agree with here. I think I agree with these two paragraphs. The rivalry between the two, and then this down here. But everything else, I think this is a weird tweet. I think this tweet is a little bit stinky. That's my opinion on it. I think it's pretty damn stinky. I don't like it very much. Honestly, I think that this tweet in general, there's definitely a lot of things that when I'm just looking at it, when I'm kind of summarizing it in my head, a lot of it doesn't seem like the reality of what's actually going on. I think there might be either like a misunderstanding or maybe a lack of clarity into what my motivations are, how I'm approaching a lot of my critiques and the critiques that other content creators have been making. My belief is that as long as you're putting the work in, you're putting in the effort to actually, voice out exactly what's wrong, why it's wrong, and how to fix it, there's no reason to flame. And when somebody doesn't do that and they're in a position of authority, I think that audiences are really easy to sway. And a lot of them will believe a content creator right off the rip, unless there's somebody on the other end of the spectrum that's gonna go ahead and break it down and explain what the actual issues are so that people aren't just blindly following critiques that aren't actually there. This analysis, obviously, it hits very close to home because I'm directly named in it, and I named a couple of other creators in the breakdown. But I believe that I gave the full context of what's going on, what my approach is, and why I think I am genuinely making the space better. Let me know what you all think in the comments. Thank you all for watching, and yeah, peace out.